Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Physics Exam Point, and this is our second video on important questions for General Studies paper, that is stage 1 first paper of UPSC Combined Geoscientist exam. It is same for all the streams, whether you are preparing for geophysicist, geochemist or geohydrologist and any other stream, right? UPSC combined within the UPSC Combined Geoscientist. So in this video we will going to discuss important questions which are based on the mostly on the general science question from the NCERT books. I already recommended you that you should read class 9 and class 10th NCERT books at least. From there you can find around 20-25 marks questions in your UPSC Combined Geoscientist exam stage 1, right? So let's start our video on uh, general studies paper questions. So our first question is that which of the following gases are filled in the electrical bulb? So gases, option A is helium and neon, option B neon and argon, option C is argon and hydrogen, and option D is argon and nitrogen. So should always remember that in our bulb, the gases that are filled in electrical bulb are argon and nitrogen. So option D is correct here, right? Then second question is that the three resistors of 1 ohm, and then it is written incorrectly. Here it is ohm, 2 ohm, and again it and 3 ohm are connected in parallel. The combined resistance of three resistors should be option A greater than 3 ohm, option B is less than 1 ohm, option B is equals to 2 ohm, and option D is between 1 ohm and 3 ohm. Right. So you should always remember that when you connected two resistance in the parallel configuration, then you find out that the maximum resistance or the net resistance in the configuration is always minimum than the maximum resistance of the configuration. So option is A is absolutely no correct. So you should use the relation of parallel configuration, that is 1 by r. R is the net effective resistance of the configuration, then 1 by r1, 1 plus 1 by r2 plus 1 by r3, right? So we can write 1 by 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 3. From here you can get LCM equals to 6, and then you can uh, calculate it further. Then we find that's to 11 by 6, right? It gives us R equal to 6 divided by 11. 6 divided by 11 is less than 1 ohm, right? So you always remember that the maximum resistance or the net resistance of the in the parallel configuration is always minimum with the minimum resistance used in that configuration, right? So option B is correct here. So that's the trick, that whenever you use the parallel configuration, then the net effective resistance is always minimum than the minimum resistance used in that configuration, right? Then third question is that when electrical current is passed, then electron moves from a high potential to the low potential, B the low potential to the high potential, and C is in the direction of the current, and D against the direction of the current, right? Then again the question is that when electrical current is passed, then electron moves from option A is high potential to the low potential, option B low potential to the high potential, option C is in the direction of the current, and D in the against the direction of the current. Here actually two options are correct. Electrons moves from low potential to the high potential, because generally physicists defined the positive terminal as the high high potential terminal and negative terminal is the low potential terminal. So electrons flow from negative terminal to the positive terminal, so electrons flow from low potential to the high potential. And option D is also correct, against because electrons move against the direction of the current, but it is asked that electrons moves from is not asking about the direction in which direction it flow with respect to the current, is asked from the which point to which point the electrons move, right? So option B is more correct, more appropriate answer for this question. So option B is correct, not option D, right? So the next set of questions are, first question is that when light falls on a smooth polished surface, then most of it, option A is reflected in the same direction, option B is reflected in the different direction, and option C is scattered, and option D is reflected into the second medium. So if you remember the laws of reflection and laws of reflection in particularly, then you find out that when a light incident on a smooth polished surface, then most of the light is reflected back into the same medium, that is in the same direction. So option A is correct here for this particular case. So in this particularly case, most of the light is reflected in the same direction, and some of the light is reflected or absorbed by the medium on which is it incident, right? The next question is that a ray of light is traveling from a rarer medium to the denser medium. While entering to the denser medium at the point of incident, the option A goes straight into the medium, option B bends towards the normal, option C bends away from the normal, and option D does not enter at all. So always remember that when a ray of light is traveling from a rarer medium to the denser medium, then it always bends towards the normal. So option B is correct here. However, if a ray of light is traveling from a denser medium to the rarer medium, then it's always bends away from the normal. In the reverse case, is always bends away from the normal, right? But in this case, it's always bends towards the normal, right? So you should read laws of reflection and refraction for this kind of questions, right? The next question is that the electrical resistivity of any given material wires depends on option A its thickness, option B its shape, and option C is its nature of material, and option D its length. Actually, it depends on all the parameter, but it's for this particular question, uh, the correct answer is option C, that is nature of the material. Nature of the material, because once the nature of the material is changed, then the change in the electrical resistivity of a metallic wire is much more in order in comparison to all the other parameter. Since it is a 10th standard question or a general science question, then all the other parameters is not discussed for a general science student, that how the resistivity of metallic wire changes with the all other parameter. It's always discussed with the nature of the material. So the correct appropriate or most appropriate answer for this question is the nature of the material. So the next set of questions, the first question is that a field strength is in the north direction acted on an electron moving in the east direction. Then the magnetic force on the electron will be acted on the option A is vertically downwards, vertically upwards. Option B is towards east. Option C is vertically downwards. Option D towards north. So the magnetic force formula is the force F is equals to Q times V cross B, right? And the detailed answer of this question we already discussed in the previous video of the same topic, that is important questions of general studies paper. So you can for detailed answer you can look at that video, and the correct answer of this question is the option D. If you find out that force on magnetic force on the electron will be acted on the vertically downward direction, always remember that the charge on the electron is negative, so the force acted on the electron is on the reverse direction of the direction of V cross B. The next question is that the best material to make a permanent magnet. To make a permanent magnet, you should remember that we need a material which has a high value of remanent magnetization and high value of coercivity. So here the options are aluminum, soft iron, and copper, and then alnico, right? So correct answer of this question is alnico, because alnico is an alloy which has high value of remanent magnetization and high value of coercivity. So the correct answer of this question is option D. Aluminum is a alkino. Alnico is a alloy, so you can look at its configuration and its value of remanent magnetization of coercivity values as well. So then next question is the material of the core of a strong magnet is first option is aluminum, option B is soft iron, option C is copper, and option D is steel. Here it is written that it is a strong magnet, not a permanent magnet. So to make a strong magnet, we inserted a magnetic material that is soft. A soft magnetic material means we need a material which is which gets saturated in terms of magnetization value at the very less applied current value. So soft iron is the best material for to get a strong magnet, which is an electromagnet, not an permanent magnet, right? So the correct answer of this question is option B, that is soft iron. So next question is that the electrical power is inversely proportional to the option A is resistance, option B is voltage, and option C is current, and option D is temperature. So if we remember that the electrical power is directly given by the product of the voltage times the current, and if you use the Ohm's law, that is V equals to IR, then and substitute the value of I, then we find out that the power or electrical power is directly proportional to the V square and inversely proportional to the resistance of the circuit. That is, then the option A is correct, that the electrical power is inversely proportional to the resistance of the circuit, right? Then next question is that acid rain is caused by the oxides of option A is carbon, option B is nitrogen oxide, and option C is sulfur only, and option D is sulfur and nitrogen oxide or nitrogen, right? So if you know the content of the acid rains, then you find out that major part of the acid rain are the contains oxides of sulfur or nitrogen. There are few more chemicals which are the part which cause the acid rains, but majority part of the sulfur oxide, nitrogen oxide cause the acid rain. So option D is correct here, right? Then next question is that which of the following chemicals causes the depletion of the ozone layers? Option C is carbon tetrachloride, option B methane, option C chlorofluorocarbon, option D is carbon monoxide. And I think most of us know the answer of this question, that depletion of the ozone layer is mainly caused by the chlorofluorocarbon. So the correct answer of this question is option C. So these are the last few questions, last three questions of this video. And the first question is that depletion of the ozone layer causes, first is the global warming, second is the option is earthquake, option C is increased UV radiation, and option D is acid rains. Right. So due to the depletion of ozone layer, the mainly the increase in the ultraviolet radiation in the Earth atmosphere is happening. So option C is correct here. Whenever the depletion of the ozone layer is causes, then the increase in the UV radiation in the Earth atmosphere is happening. The next question is that excessive exposure of the ultraviolet radiation causes, option is inflammation of liver, then option B is cancer of skin, option C damage of lungs, option D is jaundice. The correct answer of this question is the cancer of skin. When a human get an excessive exposure to ultraviolet radiation or UV radiation, then it causes the cancer of the skin. The last question of this video is that which one of the following is an artificial ecosystem? First option is lake, second option is forest, third option is pond, and the option 4 is crop field. Right? So correct answer of this question is crop field, because artificial ecosystem is the ecosystem that we made. So crop field is an ecosystem or artificial ecosystem. So that's all for today. So that's all for today. And if you like this video and you think that this video is going to help you in your physics competitive exam, then you can like, share, and subscribe uh, our YouTube channel or Physics Exam Point, and you can share this content with your friends and whoever want to look at this video, and this video definitely going to help him or her in their physics competitive exams. So all the best for your exams, and keep watching, keep studying physics exam point.